The Turkic world, from the Altai to Anatolia. Imagine a family of languages so vast that it stretches from the Arctic chill of Siberia to the Mediterranean coasts of Turkey. 200 million people speak a Turkic tongue today. They are not a single race, nor a unified culture. They are a living web. From the Yakut shamans of the Lena River to the Ottoman descendants in Istanbul, from the Kazakh eagle hunters to the Uzbeks of Samarkand, what binds them is a linguistic thread, the Turkic language family. Researchers believe the Proto-Turkic developed in the eastern cradle of Central Asia, perhaps near the Altai or Altai Mountains, or in the steppes of Mongolia and Tuva. The first Turkic speakers were a blend of hunters and small-scale farmers, but the land changed them. As the steppe dried and opened, they adapted. They became nomadic herders, moving with their animals, mastering the art of survival on horseback. Throughout history, this world grew wider not through conquest alone, but through trade, intermarriage, and cultural gravity. Some groups adopted Turkic languages voluntarily, others kept their old customs while blending with Turkic traditions. The result? A collection of societies linked by a shared grammatical skeleton and a common historical memory. Today, the well-known branches include the Turks of Anatolia, the Azerbaijanis, Uzbeks, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, Turkmens, Uyghurs, Tuvans, Yakuts, and Chuvash. Each has its own flag, its own story, yet each traces a line back to the early communities of Inner Asia. Origins and the name Turk. The word Turk first appears not in a poem, but on stone. In the 6th century CE, inscriptions refer to the Göktürks, the Blue Turks. In a letter sent in 585 CE, a Khagan declares himself the Great Turk Khan. The Bugut inscription of 584 and the famous Orkhon inscriptions of 735 solidify the name. Roman authors like Pomponius Mela spoke of a people called the Turkae north of the Sea of Azov. Chinese chroniclers of the 7th century offered a poetic theory. They said Turk came from the word for helmet because a mountain in the Altai looked like a warrior's helm. But modern linguistics prefers a different route. Most researchers agree the term comes from an Old Turkic verb, turu, meaning to be born, to create, or to gather. It implies a confederation, tribes coming together for mutual defense. This was the genius of the early Turks, unity through assembly. In Chinese records, early Turkic-speaking peoples were known as the Tile, the Kyrgyz, or the Dingling. But it was the Ashina clan, skilled metalworkers from the Altai, who changed history. Around 540 CE, they emerged as the masters of steel. By 552 CE, they overthrew their Roran overlords. The first Turkic Khaganate was born. It split into eastern and western halves in the 580s, controlling the Silk Road from Manchuria to the Black Sea. They were the first Turkic people to use their own script, the Orkhon runes, carving their laws into stone. But empires fade. The Tang dynasty defeated the Eastern Turks in 630. Yet, like fire on the steppe, the Turks rose again in 682 with the Second Khaganate. After their collapse in 744, the Uyghurs took the helm, building a settled capital at Ordu Balik. They moved from herding to farming, from runes to a sophisticated script that would later inspire the Mongols. While the Göktürks ruled the east, other Turkic waves rolled west. The Bulgars settled between the Caspian and Black Seas. They were followed by the Khazars, a unique Turkic empire that converted to Judaism, controlling trade between Europe and Islam. Then came the Pechenegs, the Cumans, and the Kipchaks. In the north, the Volga Bulgars adopted Islam in 922. In the 13th century, a storm arrived from the east, the Mongols. But unlike previous invasions, the Mongols did not erase the Turks. Instead, under the Golden Horde, the Mongol elites gradually adopted the Kipchak Turkic language and Islam. The conquerors became Turkified. Islam and the Great Empires. As the Turks moved west, they collided with the Persian and Islamic worlds. This fusion created a new kind of power. The Ghaznavids, founded by a Turkic slave soldier named Sabuktigin, ruled a Turco-Persian empire from Afghanistan. But the real earthquake came in the 11th century. The Seljuk Turks, from the Oghuz branch, swept through Persia. In 1071, at the Battle of Manzikert, they broke the Byzantine Empire. The doors of Anatolia swang open. This was the beginning of modern Turkey. The Seljuks blended Turkic military might with Persian administration and Islamic faith. Even the Mongol invasion of 1260 could not stop the Turkic tide. The conqueror Timur, known as Tamerlane, rebuilt a Turco-Mongol empire in 1370, and from the rubble of the Seljuks, a small principality grew, the Ottomans. For 600 years, they would span 3 continents. Genetic origins. For decades, historians argued over origins. Now, science answers. A 2023 study of Empress Ashina, a 6th century royal Göktürk empress, showed her DNA was overwhelmingly Northeast Asian. The core Turkic population came from the eastern steppes. However, as they moved west, they mixed. A 2022 study shows modern Central Asian Turks descend from a blend of Indo-Iranian, Scythian Mike populations and Northeast Asian peoples. The Turkmen show less East Asian ancestry, the Kazakhs show more. The steppe shifted genetically over 4,000 years, not through genocide, but through the slow gravity of Turkic language spread. The modern Turkic world. For much of the 20th century, Turkey stood alone as the only independent Turkic nation. But the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 changed the map forever. 5 new nations were born: Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. Today, the Organization of Turkic States coordinates policy. Turksoy unites their culture. From the Yakut Republic in the Russian Federation to the Uyghur communities in western China, the Turkic world is reconnecting. They are no longer just a memory of nomads. They are a dynamic force of modern Eurasia. The name Turk once described a helmet-shaped mountain or a gathering of tribes. Now it describes a global diaspora. They began as hunters in the shadow of the Altai. They became blacksmiths, kings, and conquerors. They wrote their language in runes, then in Arabic script, then in Latin letters, and they are still writing it today. From the Orkhon Valley to the world, the endless blue sky still covers them all.